What's up? How you doing? Hope you're having a good day, or night, or morning, whatever it is. Hope you're alright. Alright, in all my videos, I try to express the point that I'm not the smartest person, nor am I the dumbest person. I've done my research on some things, and there's a lot of things out there that I can do my research on, but I don't believe that everything is, that I might be researching is going to be telling me like the complete truth. But still, I like to learn things. Today's topic, or this video's topic, is on something that bothered me for years. I noticed that a lot of entertainers, a lot of people on TV or whatever, were looking pretty different from when I was growing up. Meaning nappy hair and wrinkled clothes. Alright, so I started noticing that people were wearing their hair in such a way that it looked uncombed, ungroomed. It don't matter what the race was. You know what I'm saying? If you had straight, stringy hair, you see people with spiked up hair going in different directions, and one part of the hair looked combed back while the other looked combed to the side, while the front looked combed forward, and all kind of different things like that. If you were melanated with thick woolly hair, it looked like you just woke up, scratched your head, and put some clothes on. I hated that. I hate it now, even though there's no even though, but I hate it. I still hate it. I was born in the 70s, so everything that I had to wear, it was either hand-me-downs or whatever the fuck, but it had to last. If you had a hole, then parents put a patch in it. Got to the point where you start outgrowing your clothes, and then your clothes get worn by the younger child, you know what I'm saying? Like the oldest kid, his clothes went down to the youngest kid. That type of thing. Or her. You like the oldest daughter, you know what I'm saying? Her clothes get worn by the youngest daughter. Things like that. Siblings shared clothes, so you had to take care of your clothes. There was a time where you had two sets of clothes. Clothes that you wore around the house or played in, and clothes that you wore outside of the house. For religious people, you had three sets of clothes. Clothes you wore to church, clothes you wore around the house, and clothes that you played in. Well, I guess that's basically for non-religious people too. Because you had clothes you wore to school, clothes you wore around the house, and clothes you played in. And it's like, you get in trouble if you got it mixed up. It's like going shopping for clothes before a school year. Most times that's the only time you got anything new. And you had to make those clothes last throughout the school year, even though your body was still growing. But the point is that you had to have some type of dignity for whatever you possessed. You had to be grateful. I'm talking about had to be grateful. Because you don't want that speech about being ungrateful for anything. You don't want that speech. And I mean, a parent would lay it on their kids if they thought their kids was being ungrateful for something. So it got to this memory of you couldn't leave the house with, without representing the house. So your hair had to be combed, your clothes, your shirt had to be tucked in the right way. Your clothes couldn't be hanging all off your body. You had to be decent. For a lot of melanated people, you had to dress like you didn't want to attract the attention of anybody that worked in the system. And that's a hard way to live, because you never know who was going to try to ruin the household just by running their mouth. Because people would call welfare offices and tell on their neighbors, supposed friends. You know what I'm saying? It was a crazy and wild time during the 70s. Now during the 80s, we had the crack epidemic, and that collapsed a lot of households. So who was going to teach their kids to respect their shit? When I say their shit, I'm meaning, to look decent, take care of what you got, things like that. Crack epidemic made poor more than just a health word. It was a combination of poor in health and poor in finances. You had people that got bullied for not having decent clothes, and you have bullies that still got bullied by people who had more than what they had. So the 80s was full of hustle. So the lack of attention to decency and self-respect really flipped. So I'm looking at generations of people that seem to have lost the fundamentals of being, like I don't want to say self-respect, but caring. It's just caring about what they look like, even if you didn't have money to afford, the finer things. Of course, if you had money, you knew who had money and who didn't, because they, afforded the nicer things. And you have people on the sideline just wishing that they can look like that, and promising themselves or their siblings that, one day we're going to get up out of this situation and I'm going to do whatever I need to do. So here it is in the 2000s, where you see people who have money and they talk about their money, and the industry entertainment industry. And even though they got money and they talk about all the expensive stuff that they wear, it's like clothing designers took clothes to a whole nother level to where raggedy is good. And I'm like, yo, I understand how hip hop changed the clothing industry. I understand that. There's a lot of positive things that came from that, but there was more negative things that came from it. And it's basically like, I remember that I couldn't leave the house without having some ironed clothes and looking, looking like I gave a fuck about myself. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't have too much hair grease on my hair, but I had to have hair grease on my hair. I couldn't be ashy. You know what I'm saying? And it was such a big thing that, yeah, you did get bullied if you had wrinkled clothes, if your clothes were too tight on you, or if your clothes was too big on you, things like that. And then hip hop changed that too, because we began wearing baggy clothes. We began wearing clothes that were 2 sizes larger than us. So once again, there was a big change in the culture to where you got into the 2000s where people start wearing tighter clothes. You can see it in a person's business suit. You can see it in, you know what I'm saying, your everyday casual clothes. It's like when guys would sag, with pants hanging halfway off their ass. The only time that a person would sag when I was a kid growing up was when they didn't have a belt or a hand-me-down belt and they had to keep pulling their pants up. They keep pulling them up, you know what I'm saying? Because it was a thing of you look sloppy, you look nasty if you just let your pants hang. But it got to the point where men were pulling their pants down on purpose. It's like I did it too. I remember the routine of putting my pants on, putting my belt on, but pulling my jeans down just a little bit more to squeeze over my ass. You know what I'm saying? The top part of my ass. And then I throw my t-shirt on. Or, my button-up shirt or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And even if I tucked in my shirt, I'd still pull my pants down a little bit. And I'll pull my shirt up just a little bit so that it hung over the belt, hung over the edge. And I looked decent. I used to go to work doing that. You know what I'm saying? The workplace would be like, don't be sagging, but you could pull it off just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you wore an apron or something like that. As long as the customer didn't see you from the back. That type of thing. But then I'm grown now. So when I'm still seeing people with nappy ass hair, even with their hair like in a mohawk, A mohawk is nappy as fuck. You got people with fades and their hair is still nappy as fuck. You got people with afros. It's nappy as fuck. And when I say people, I'm talking about people of all different races. Because the culture, my culture, has um, um, crossed um, the, I feel, okay, hold on. What is it? What's that word? What's the word I'm looking for? What's the word that I'm looking for? It has, it was adopted by all other, races and ethnicities, all other countries. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has been indulging. Everybody has been enjoying whatever the look is of the day. You know what I'm saying? So if one person looks cool wearing it, then another person looks cool wearing it. I remember when men didn't wear earrings in their right ear. We only wore it in our left ear. I remember when it came down to jewelry, you know what I'm saying? Jewelry was a thing for dope dealers and pimps. And then it became a thing for hip hop artists and musicians. So it's like art imitates life, life imitates art. Dope dealers wanted to look like hip hop, look like entertainers, and entertainers wanted to look like dope dealers. Dope dealers wanted to look like pimps. Pimps wanted to look like dope dealers. But like I say, I'm grown now, and I'm seeing the way that people dress, and I don't get it. So here I am, talking my shit, and I say again, I'm not the smartest person, and I'm not the dumbest person. But it's out here in front of my face all the time. People will braid their hair, and their braids will be stringy as fuck. You know what I'm saying? You remember on the movie Friday, Regina King, she was sleeping with her head propped up on her hand because she didn't want to fuck up her hair. Because the night before, she had got it wrapped. She wrapped her hair up so that way when she woke up the next morning, she didn't have to do too much to, to style her hair. You know what I mean? There's a time when women didn't want to get their hair wet. There was a time when women didn't want men touching their hair at all. There was a time when women just didn't want people fucking with their hair at all because it took too much time for it to look good. But nowadays, women don't give a fuck. They wearing wigs. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, for real? On an everyday thing? It's like, you young as fuck. What you wearing a wig for? Your hair ain't falling out. You ain't got grays in your hair and shit. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, that was the only reason why a woman would, an elderly woman, would wear a wig. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, a lot of things have changed. And we've gotten this way because our culture and our people have, I think, we've gotten tired. We've gotten lazy. We've lost a lot of our edge. From building this country to where we are now, there's a lot that has gone on. In between all that, our role models and our leaders have been killed off, and it was a plan that people on a higher tax bracket, they put this plan together, and it has been working. And if you think I'm sounding crazy, I want you to go on YouTube and search for why did conscious rap die out, or what happened to conscious rap. Then I want you to look up videos on private prisons, and when like look up when they started, and I want you to start drawing the lines to I want you to start drawing the lines, connecting the dots. That's what I'm trying to say. Because if you tell people to tell other people that this is cool and that's not cool, and you're a popular person, then other people are going to listen to that popular person. And like the herded people that we are, we follow. We follow, we follow, we follow. So through all these years that we didn't have any role models, we didn't have any leaders in our communities, we didn't have the right people in our ear saying, yo, that shit's whack as fuck. We are not that type of people. We shouldn't be that type of people. Those type of people are consumers. We are leaders. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we needed leaders. But since it seems that we still got a little time left, we can't give up on trying to be a leader or pointing people to other people who have that leading quality. I remember when I was in trade school, Job Corps. At Job Corps, the first dorm that I lived in was a co-ed dorm. And about 2-3 months after I got there, the mayor of the dorm was graduating, and I got elected to be his substitute. Now in Job Corps, we got student government. Student government got together, at a luncheon or a dinner, and we talked about the things that we needed to change to make the facility a better place for us to learn. And so my dorm got closed down for a moment, and we all had to move, and I got moved to this honor dorm. And at that honor dorm, there was already, a mayor there, but he graduated as well. And we went through a whole nother election. And people that was from my dorm had already began looking at me like, well, I'm not going to do it, but you did it already, so why don't you do it again? I didn't elect myself. I got elected. And I was like, well, shit. Alright, I'll do it. And then when my term came up to an end, nobody else wanted to do it. And they honestly would sit back and say it. I ain't doing it. So I ended up being the mayor again. So I was the mayor of a dorm 3 times. And I didn't like it because, it's like for one, I knew that I couldn't do the bullshit that I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't smoke and drink like I wanted to. I'm talking about smoking that weed and, drinking that bootleg liquor that we snuck on the campus. You know what I'm saying? Even though I did every now and then, I couldn't do it as much as I wanted to because I was supposed to be a role model. And I was like, fuck, man. This is a responsibility. I'm tired of it. I've been doing it for as long as I've been here. I'm tired of it. You know what I'm saying? But then it felt good when somebody that didn't trust me at first came to me with an issue that they had. And when they look at you and they be like, you know what? I wasn't fucking with you at first, but you alright. You alright. You know what I'm saying? That feels good. It does. And it seemed that no matter where I went, even slightly before, some years before I went to Job Corps, I was the type of person that was like, I learned vicariously through other people. If I seen that it didn't work for somebody, I'm like, why would I do it? You know what I mean? And then on top of that, I just tell myself that I didn't want to be a stereotype. I didn't want to be a statistic. A young, brown male that people looked at as a thief or a hustler or, something negative. I didn't want that. And I knew that I didn't want to just hang around, people from other races. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be able to go anywhere and hang around with anybody and be respected and earn people's respect. So that's always been on my shoulders, and it wasn't hard to do once I put it in my mind that that's how I wanted to live. And I say once again that I'm not the smartest, nor am I the dumbest. I've done my research, and there's a lot of things out there that I can still be doing my research on. But I can't believe everything that I hear or see. But I still like to learn, and I still like to share my thoughts with people. Today, or within the last 30 or 40 minutes, I came across some videos that I'm going to watch that interest me. This one is about the stockyards in Chicago. This one is, you ain't no engine. You from West Africa. This one is, talking about his Tulsa faces reckoning over historical racism as state law restricts how history is taught. Nowadays they're trying to hide the history. And when I say they, I'm talking about people who don't want to be embarrassed, or people who don't want to be held accountable for what their parents had done, what people in their family had done to melanated people, immigrants. So they're trying to hide the truth, trying to hide facts. There's a video, Uncover the Hidden Secrets of Black Wall Street, which is Tulsa, Oklahoma. This video of he lived racism as a boy and as a man. You won't forget his story. I like to hear from a person's mouth, what they went through. And there's videos how black Americans were robbed of their land. This video is Dreamland, a place in Little Rock, Arizona, on West 9th Street. So I still like learning something every day. I put out this video, YouTube, and now I have a love and hate situation. And that video is about how I love how I can find things to strengthen my core, strengthen my being. But I hate the way they got this community guideline and telling people what they can and cannot say, telling people what they can and cannot post on YouTube. But yet, if you look up some videos specifically on those topics of what you're not supposed to post, you'll still find it on YouTube. And so that's what I hate about YouTube. It's like you got videos that are way older than my videos that still exist on YouTube, but yet you canceled my channels. That's crazy. I hate that shit. But I love the education that I can get on here and connect the dots to other things that I did research on. You know what I'm saying? So here lately, I've had some people responding to a comment that I left on a young lady's video. Her name is Lex I Am, and she does pranks. She did pranks. I haven't checked her channel out in a minute, based off the point where nobody's forcing me to watch her videos. You know what I'm saying? When I was watching the videos, it was cool, it was entertaining, but I got tired of seeing it. The pranks that she was pulling was pissing people off. And there were some people pulling out straps on her. There were people laying hands on her. There were people pulling out knives on her. And I'm like, yo, I worry. So if I want to have a good day, I'm not going to watch something that worries me, that put that in my soul. So I haven't been to her channel in a while. But the last time I watched a video of hers, she had asked her viewers if she, should do positive videos, continue doing what she's doing, or, leave suggestions. And so I was like, yo, I'd like to see you do more positive videos. And I've said a couple other things, but since I put that comment on that video, I've had several people that replied to that comment, and they were either for what I said or they were against what I said. But it's been more people that was for what I said. And it's all about, man, we gotta reach out to our youth. We gotta reach out to our neighbor. I always say content creators gotta stick together. We're in a culture, we're in a community. So I gotta reach out to people in my community. And I gotta sit back and try to wish them the best. At the same time, give them suggestions. And at the same time, let them know that, hey, there's other people looking at you in a different light. There's people that will want to be inspired by what you're doing. And if they're seeing that you're getting views for doing whatever you do, if it's not cool for our culture, then it's up to me and other people that think like me to address you and let you know that, hey, whatever you do, represent us right. You know, my channel is called Growing with Podrey. I'm Podrey. I'm constantly growing, and I want folks to grow with me. You know, I'm not a religious person. I used to be, but I had to unthink a lot of the bullshit that I was taught and that I was raised up with. When it came down to religion, I was always on the fence because it didn't make sense. And when I finally gave up religion, I was happy. I was happier. You know, not everybody feels that way, and not everybody will be that way. But, you know, when it comes down to taking on your responsibility and holding yourself accountable for choices that you make, you know, it's like if no one put a gun up to your head and threatened your life about a choice you're going to make, then who can you blame for the outcome of the choices that you make? You know what I'm saying? So, I know this video is stretched, and it's probably more than 30 minutes by now, so I'm about to get off of here. And my point about our people wearing their hair in a nappy way, ungroomed, it has to stop. Our people, you know, I don't care how much that designer clothes costs. If it looked crazy, it looked crazy. If you're wearing it, it's like ask yourself, why do men wear wear their clothes where they're showing their ass when they are in a circle of other men? There's nobody else looking at them except for other men. To me, you know, it's a little shaky. You know, I'm like, I don't want no man to be looking at the crack of my ass. So it makes me question the toughest of men. Why do you want other men to look at the crack of your ass? Makes me ask the question without judgment. It's just a simple question. You got the crack of your ass showing. You know what I'm saying? Nobody else is looking but other men. Why is that cool to you? When it comes down to women who enjoy the company of men with their hair nappy and clothes looking fucked up, my question is, what's your idea of a quality man? Of a high caliber man? It used to be an educated man was high caliber. You know, it's like you either had a gangster who was doing things illegally that could eventually leave you single and alone, taking care of your kids, or you had a legit man like a barber, a butcher, a mechanic, a doctor, a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Either he was smart or not so smart, he still had a legit job. And if y'all manage y'all's money right, and if you were responsible about your sex, then you can live within your means. So it's like, we look at the issues that changed us from then to now, and it's up to us to solve the problems. I'm always talking about community, creating a new community. And I did a video right here. We can create communities. That video was about a group of friends, a group of people, period, that put their money together, bought some acreage, and started a community. Killer Mike had this show on Netflix. It was like maybe 6 episodes to that show, and he tried to live a week off of nothing but brown-owned businesses. Basically, whatever he ate had to be cooked by melanated people, but the food that he ate had to come from melanated people. He said at the end of the series that he was hungry a lot because there were no melanated butchers, there were no melanated farmers. So the food that he ate, you know what I'm saying, was very minimal. His transportation was a bicycle that was built by parts from a melanated person. You know what I'm saying? Melanated people, basically. And he's a heavier weighted man, so he hurt his ass on that bicycle seat. He couldn't sleep anywhere except for like outside because there were no melanated owned places to sleep. So he found out the world was very hard. And it was something that he said that I believe in my heart to be very true. His grandparents had said that segregation was a bad thing in a lot of ways. The reason why they said that is because when we were segregated, all the money that came from our people, we spent with our people. Because we were not allowed to spend our money in other people's and other races' businesses. You know what I'm saying? So being segregated forced us to depend on ourselves within our community. Whenever a child would go to college to become something in their profession, they had to come back to that segregated community in order to practice whatever they graduated with, whatever skill they graduated with. And I look at that now and I'm like, that is such a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, when you add that to policing ourselves, look at all these other countries where if you steal something, you get your hand chopped off. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I talked too much or when I lied too much or something, my parent would put crushed red peppers, the seasoning, inside of my mouth. It made me, she questioned me, whatever she was mad about, she got it off her chest, and while she was getting it off her chest, I had to hold that in my mouth, and that shit was burning my mouth. Or I had to put a soap bar in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? So when we police our own, a lot of things could be different. I like the idea of what the movie Sparta, the movie 300 had suggested. It was like, get rid of the weak links as their infants. You know what I'm saying? Fuck them. You can always have more kids. You know what I mean? So, if you got a weak link, get rid of that motherfucker as soon as you can. But people have bought into this idea of what life should be about because of that fucking Bible and the way that it was used as a tool and all the other instruments of destruction that have caused us to be the way that we are. So, I know I'm not the smartest person, but I know I'm not the dumbest person. So I gotta make sense some kind of way. I gotta make sense some kind of way. I want peace and I want harmony for everybody. But sometimes you can't trust everybody. Sometimes you can't love the person that you want to love. Sometimes you gotta turn your back on people even though they're close to you. Sometimes you have to look out for number one. Sometimes. That whole rule of self-preservation, that should hold so much weight in a person's life. Now, when it comes down to that, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to try to get off this video and stop it. When I was younger, I said I didn't want to bring any children into this world, not unless I was emotionally stable and financially stable, mentally stable, you know what I'm saying, personally stable, things like that. I needed to be stable, no matter how I looked at myself. And I needed to have a woman that was just as equal to me as I could find. We would have to have them strong conversations of how we will raise our kids. We had to have those strong conversations of how we will continue to grow as individuals within our relationship. We had to have those tough conversations of how we give each other space to grow, but to grow strong together as well. And I wasn't disciplined enough. I brought one child in the world, but the mother didn't want nothing to do with me. And look, I had a job. I was a teenager, but I had a job. I wanted to be her man, and I wanted to be a father to that child. But she wanted to get married. And I told her, I was like, look, man, we would become statistics if we just go and get married at a young age, not knowing what life was about, not knowing who we are as individuals. I told her we could be together, but we can't be statistics. She wasn't understanding where I was coming from, so she didn't want to fuck with me. And I didn't want to be that dude that would constantly get into a fight every time I wanted to go see my kid. I didn't want my child growing up seeing mama and daddy fighting all the time, or even part of the time. You know what I'm saying? Kids sense that tension, and they gotta grow up with that. It wasn't that child's fault that I didn't be as responsible that I needed to be whenever she and I had sex that one day that she got pregnant. I remember that day. It's kind of like being haunted by that day, but it was such a beautiful day. So it's a beautiful memory. But still, now that I look at other people, I'm like, man, if I could help you be the best person that you could be, I'm going to try. And with this platform right here, I'm able to talk my shit and leave the option to other people to listen to what I got to say and take the message and do whatever they're going to do with the message. And on that note, here's my full disclaimer. Once again, I'm going to say, I am not the smartest person, nor am I the dumbest person. I've done my research on some things, and there's a lot of things out there that I could be doing my research on, but I don't trust everything So I gotta be careful. What I need you to do is I need you to question everything that I'm talking about. Then I need you to go and do your research on the different things that I have been talking about. And most importantly, I need you, not most importantly, but what's important is I need you to form your own opinion about these topics that I'm talking about and share it with other people. That's the most important part. Because if you share your thoughts with other people, you never know when you're going to reach that one person that had the same thoughts that you had, but they didn't have anybody to talk to, and they felt alone. And I know what it feels like to feel like I'm alone when I'm around a bunch of people, just because I think one way and they think another way, but they looking at me like if I'm the weirdo. I know what that feeling is like, and I don't want nobody else to go through that. It's a fucked up feeling. So I'm gonna get out of here. I get passionate and I talk a lot. So my videos, you know what I'm saying, they be long. They be long, seriously. And I know there's a lot of spaces in between when I be thinking about shit. But if you made it this far, all I can say is personally thank you. I'm glad you took the time to invest it in the shit that I be talking about. I appreciate you. I really do. Leave me a comment below. You know what I'm saying? Tell me, what you got out of it. Tell me what you're going to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Let me appreciate you even more. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate people who step out of their lane to learn something or to, watch something new or listen to something new or whatever, because this is a world where there's so much out here that we cannot possibly learn every single thing. We cannot see everything. We can't, we can't take our senses and explore this world. There's no way. There's too much out there. It'll take 2, 3, 4, 5 different lifetimes. But I'm gonna get out of here. Hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good night. Hope you have a good morning. Peace.